Welcome to the Philantrepreneur Show, hosted by Dr. Victoria Boyd, designed to offer tips, strategies, and insights to empower nonprofits and entrepreneurs with sustainable win-win solutions. The Philantrepreneur Show is sponsored by the Philantrepreneur Foundation, building capacity through education and professional services.
Well, good morning. This is Dr. Victoria Boyd, President and Founder of the Philantrepreneur Foundation and editor of the Philantrepreneur Journal, and I am thrilled to bring tips, strategies, and insight for business and the nonprofit sectors. You know, it's sort of unbelievable that we're already in October. I think this year has just been flying past, and it really seems just like yesterday when back on our January 7th, our very first broadcast of 2015, we welcomed Gene Block to the show. Since that time, you know, we've constantly been in touch, and I'm extremely excited to be working together now. So I want to say, let's just jump right into today's show, and let me welcome once again Gene Block. She's president of Gene Block Consulting and Social Enterprise Ventures, LLC. She's the author of The Nonprofit Guide to Social Enterprise, Show Me the Unrestricted Money, The Invisible Yellow Line, Clarifying Board and Staff Roles, FUNdraising, 180-plus great ideas to raise more money, Fast Fundraising Facts for Fame and Fortune, ooh, that's a hard one to say, and the ABCs of building better boards. Also, she's one of the 25 national consultants featured in the Nonprofit Consulting Playbook. Welcome to the show, Gene. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And like I told you before, I am just totally drawn to your work. We're just in so much alignment. Your philosophy and what the Philantrepreneur Foundation does, and the whole concept of social enterprise is just near and dear to my heart. And just talking about the value of having an entrepreneurial spirit to develop fundraising strategies and working with entrepreneurs, how, you know, building a platform around social enterprise is so effective. You know, these are just things that really get me excited. And I know just not enough people are out there doing it. You know, I think we both saw it immediately, and now I'm a social enterprise venture national senior consultant. And, you know, some of our listeners have heard about your background because I've been blabbing my mouth, and it's been posted all over social media and promoting all of the things we do. But do you have anything, a recap or anything new and exciting happening lately?
Oh, no, nothing.
Okay, well, that was it. Okay, thanks for joining us on the show. I'm just joking.
Before we went on air, Victoria and I were just talking about how we're both running around in circles with so much good stuff going on. So thank you for having me back again. It's always a pleasure. And I know in this hour we're going to talk more about the very exciting opportunity that we'll have to later this month, coming right up.
Yes,
people will have to experience this whole social enterprise entrepreneurial concept firsthand, hands-on. So I'll let you talk more about that. But it's just a pleasure to be able to work with you and spread the word throughout the nonprofit and even the business community about the concept of social enterprise, doing good, making money while doing good deeds. And somehow or other, in the far distant past, and it's continued till today, somehow or other, there's been this message, and it's just wrong, but there's been a message out there, especially in the nonprofit sector, that people just believe that making money is a bad thing. We have to do good deeds, and we have to be poor, and we have to think like a charity, and we have to beg, and we have to plead, and we have to rely on others. And that's just not true, because the bottom line is, without money, no nonprofit organization can meet its mission, can do good. And so little by little, throughout the United States, nonprofits are beginning to shift their thinking. Their boards are shifting. Their funders are shifting that thinking to say, no, it's perfectly all right to make money, and you should be making money if your mission is important. So enough on that soapbox.
And that, I mean, you're hitting it right on the key points, because in the national survey, I was just talking about this last week in a class I was doing, the top 3 things that nonprofits and the outside sector looking in see as the challenges. They're also highly connected, and number 1 was funding, of course. They always think that's the problem. The number 2 was leader adaptability, which was sort of interesting when I read some of the details of that. And the third one was marketing. And I'm like, duh, there's the whole formula right there, that if you really address leadership adaptability and your marketing strategies, your funding will come. I was like, okay, so, and, I often wonder, why can't you see the picture? It's right in front of you, that you have to do marketing and have strong, what I call forward-thinking leadership that is not afraid to take, and I don't even call it risk, but to look at new, effective, and viable ways of sustaining their organization. Because, I mean, these are not risks you're taking. And I love when Reed Zimmerman, he also has a book with your publisher, Charity Channel, and he talks about the 7 deadly things, and we've always done it that way. Oh, we've got enough to get by this year. It's that leadership that says, let's do something different, because by doing the same thing, we're getting the same results. And this whole social enterprise business platform, the whole concept of look at what you have, look at the assets that you have, look inside. You have value, you have a lot of things to offer, but how can you make it work for you? Yeah.
And you are absolutely right. Especially, again, whether you're an entrepreneur, somebody sitting at home listening to this and saying, gee, I wish I could start a business, or whether you are a nonprofit leader, a board leader, or a staff leader who says, we've got to figure out a way to sustain ourselves, regardless of where you're sitting right now while you're listening to this broadcast. The place to start is not looking outside your window and saying, well, let's see, who else is doing something out there that works? That's wrong.
Right.
That's where businesses and nonprofits fail, is by copying somebody else's idea. You've got to start looking inside. Close the blinds. Don't look outside. Look inside and say, all right, what do we have? What do we do? What do we know? And one of the things that we do in social enterprise training is to help organizations understand about building an asset inventory. Sounds easy, but it's hard work, because for most of us, whether we're an individual or a nonprofit or a small business, we take what we do for granted. And we say, well, that's just what we do. It doesn't have nobody else. Well, that's the next step, finding out who might want to take advantage of it. But until you build that inventory of what you know how to do and what you take for granted, and realize that to someone who doesn't have that asset or know that skill or have that ability, it is rocket science to someone else. And so getting away from that bad habit of undervaluing what you do, what you have, what you know, is what stops most people from being successful in branching out. So I am really serious. What so many nonprofits do, and what so many brand new entrepreneurs do, is look outside and see what other people are doing. Close the blinds. Look inside first and understand what it is you have, what you do, what you know, and realize that to someone else doesn't have it or know it or do it, there is value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a couple of things, like over the probably the last year at least, just working with both entrepreneurs and nonprofits, there's been this consistent topic that keeps arising, and you just, once again, brought it right down. They're not valuing what they have, and they don't look at that there is a need for their services. They, it's here. We got that too. But both sectors, if they would just do a feasibility study, they would see how for-profit companies are charging like great prices for different things. No, they don't have to try and match that. In fact, being cheaper because they are nonprofit might be a marketing strategy for them, but they'll see the comparable value and how it's really needed, what sector really needs. They're valuable assets that they're just sort of sitting there. It's on the shelf. It's like that strategic plan that we work for 2 or 3 weeks to sit down and strategize and meet for hours and hours and then put it in a binder and never look at it for 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's
the real. You also hit the next nut on the head, which is once you've built that inventory of assets, then comes the marketing and feasibility study that says, okay, this is what we have to offer. This is what we know. This is what we have to offer. Now, next step, does anybody want it? Does anybody need it? Does anybody know we have it? Does anybody, are there enough bodies out there who want to buy it, use it? Are there enough of them? What will they pay for it? Can we afford to deliver this? All of that part. I mean, I teach a workshop called The Anatomy of a Business Plan. It's not brain surgery. It's not brain surgery to write a business plan. All of the work, the feasibility study, the costing analysis, the sales planning, all of that stuff goes into the business plan. The work that you do before to prove the viability of your idea, the feasibility of your great idea, that's the work. Once you've done that work, filing it into a business plan that lets you launch it and move forward is the easy part. The business plan is the easy part.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, we both agree that it's more about the process than it is the end results. It's
all
going
about
through that. Yeah, what it does is it becomes your filter, and you're able to, before you even get into the work of doing the business, you have filtered out those things that have proven themselves not to be effective or not needed, or, okay, let's not do that at this time. And so you've created your own filtering device so that you know that you're coming out the gate with the best asset or product or service that you can feasibly, realistically present at this time.
That's right.
And I know in your email you talked about being realistic. That is also, so many of us think we have a great idea. Yeah, right.
Yeah, prove it. Because whether you are, whether you're the stay-at-home mom who loves making egg salad sandwiches and thinks she's going to start an egg salad sandwich business, or whether you're the nonprofit who says our programs and services are better than anybody else's, so we're going to start selling them. It doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes the hardest lesson to be learned is letting go of that, what we talked ourselves into as the best idea. Once market research and feasibility studies prove that, you know what, maybe it's not. You can't afford, whether you're the stay-at-home mom with the egg salad sandwich idea or whether you're a nonprofit. You must not put your resources at risk. You can't invest your life savings in an egg salad sandwich business if the market isn't there. You can't invest your donors in money, donor funds or grant money as a nonprofit into a social enterprise that is not the best idea. Sometimes you have to just let go of that and be more realistic and think in a more business-like manner that says, well, it's a good idea, but it's not the right idea. Or as you said, Victoria, it's not the right idea at this time. So,
right.
So building that, starting by looking inside first is the first step. But then you don't just go out and buy a bunch of eggs and mayo and bread and start making sandwiches.
Right. And another point is, with a lot of, because I teach intro to nonprofits, and even when I'm meeting one-on-one, often I will convince them not to open up their nonprofit, okay, because there's too many of them out there doing the same thing, and basically they couldn't identify how they were unique, how they filled a gap that somebody else was already doing. And it's yes, you think it's valuable and you have a and know it's needed, but if there's already a nonprofit doing it, and just because you haven't heard about them doesn't mean they're not there. As you start, putting it out there, a lot of them will pop up. Now, how can you either tweak it, make it better, make it stronger, or make it yours? Have that unique, what I call signature, to why yours takes the value above and beyond someone else. And that takes a lot of thought because, like you said, sometimes you have to let go of ideas, either because the market's oversaturated or there's absolutely no market for it. It's one of the realities of being in business. And once again, we're getting back to the statement, being in business. You are in business, and you have to take into account all of the business issues that come to play when you're trying to be successful. I just keep going on and on my soapbox here.
Well, we both do, so.
Yeah, but just the whole issue of assets is, like you said, they often don't understand that this 3-day training they might do 2 or 3 times a month, or as people come in and they have a set script that they use to talk to clients or things like that they've written that actually could be used in other markets. It could be used in the corporate world. It could be used in training programs. But like you said, it's looking at what might be the adaptability. Even it might be to help another similar nonprofit that has similar type of clients, if you're like an agency, a human service agency, to help navigate some of their program issues. So it's just a wide range. Let's just talk about what might some of those assets look like.
Well, I like to help organizations walk through that process by sort of dividing, and it doesn't matter whether you list your assets in the right column or not. It's just that helps your thinking. To begin to build that inventory around the things you know, knowledge. What do you know? And in most cases, that's the hardest one. That is the hardest list to build because what we do, we just do. We just get up every morning and we do it. We get up every morning, we go get ready, we go to work, and we do it. And we take those assets, those knowledge assets, those things we know, we take for granted. And yet, oftentimes, those are the most valuable. And so the first column, I guess, in the asset inventory is, what do you know? What do you know? And what do you do? What is your product? Now, if you're a nonprofit, you're a product. You probably don't think of them in that like that, but you have products, you have programs, you have services. List every one of those then, and break those down and say, well, so we run a daycare. Well, what do we have to know to run a daycare? We have to know safety. Okay, what kind of safety? Break all that down. We have to know how to socialize. Okay, break all that down. We have to know about diet and nutrition. Okay, break all that down. Breaking all the big pieces down into little teeny tiny pieces is hard. But until we do that, we won't find that tipping point. We won't be able to say, maybe that's something we can leverage. So we build an asset inventory with 4 columns. What do we know? What do we do? What do we have? Do we have physical assets that are not totally utilized? And then the 4th column is, who do we know? What are the relationships that we have, that we use every day, and that we take for granted? Once we've got, and literally, in most organizations, and I've led probably, close to 100 nonprofits across the country in this entrepreneurial journey from, gee, we got to do something, to, gee, we have a business plan. In almost every case, even if it's a tiny nonprofit, when you begin to really get serious about your assets, you can fill pages. And begin. And that, I'll tell you, that exercise on its own has value because it lets all of us see that we have more under our barrel than we thought we did. So you want to start with the 4 columns. And if you're a mom, a stay-at-home mom with egg salad sandwich is an idea, you can fill pages as well and should. So,
right. As you were speaking, I was making the parallel connection with as an entrepreneur, even a social entrepreneur, because a lot of them that go into social entrepreneurship, they have really delved deep and done a lot of research in their specific topic, which becomes their knowledge. And then getting into that, what do you do? That is also, they have an expertise. They might be a great, I'll say salesperson, how they serve their clients. So that might be how to get the most out of, reaching your clients or things. So it doesn't always have to be the exact product or service you're pushing or providing, but it was what journey did you take to get there, and what knowledge did you gain to be and reach the point where you wanted to be the entrepreneur with the particular product. So I was just coming up with a whole bunch of lists there.
There you go.
What we're going to take a quick commercial break now, and we will be back in just a second.
The Philantrepreneur Foundation. Build your capacity with our educational programs and professional services. Learn how to be a philantrepreneur, maximize your social impact, and maximize your revenue. Visit thephilantrepreneur.com or philantrepreneurfoundation.org to find services, resources, and training to launch, enhance, or improve your business or nonprofit strategy. While there, sign up to receive the Philantrepreneur Journal digital publication. Today's Philantrepreneur Show tip.
Oh, yes, the Philantrepreneur Journal was just released. Don't miss this issue. It doesn't cost you anything. We're offering it free. You just have to put in your email address so that you can continue to get it whenever it's published. But it's jam-packed with resources and insights from industry leaders. And this issue is devoted to resources and productivity. But more important, there's a special bonus in there for Impact Learning 2015. We're going to be talking a whole lot more about this wonderful conference that will be here in just about 3 weeks, which you can't miss. So I want you to go and get your copy of the Philantrepreneur Journal. It's at JOOMAG, that's JOOMAG.com/philantrepreneur. And you'll find the latest issue. In fact, there'll be all of the issues right there. Read them all. But in this issue, there's a lot of good things. We have Ellen Bristow with Leaky Bucket. Oh, there's so many good things. But make sure you go and get a copy of the Philantrepreneur. And if you have an interest in being an advertiser, here's some information for you.
The Philantrepreneur Journal, a quarterly digital publication reaching over 600,000 entrepreneurs and nonprofits. Get targeted exposure to reach your ideal customer with our unique Ads for a Cause, where 50% of the fee goes to support our nonprofit training and services programs. Together, we can make a difference, create impact, and build capacity. Visit thephilantrepreneur.com, Marketing Ads tab for all the details. Mention this show and get a 10% discount.
Okay, welcome back. And we're here with Gene Block of Gene Block Consulting and Social Enterprise Ventures. We've been talking about assets, and we actually did talk about this in a previous show. But we're going to now delve into some of the things that are going to happen during our Impact Learning Conference. She will be joining me here in sunny Las Vegas. Also, her partner, Patrick Hibbard. The first day, because what we've been talking about today a lot is marketing, and I see marketing because it is one of the top 3 challenges that not only nonprofits but also entrepreneurs have identified. We're going to do a full day of impact marketing, which will directly align with what Gene and Patrick and I will be presenting on the second 2 days called Road Trip. I mean, I can't even speak. I'm so excited. So let's just talk about a little bit what they might experience, or should they prepare? How should they come? What mindset might they arrive for your 2-day training?
Oh, good. I'm so glad you asked that one. Here's what you should bring. And this is it, all right? You pack your bags, and you come and be prepared to spend 3 days at this conference, which sounds long, but I'm going to tell you what, they're going to go fast. 3 days at this conference, and the most important, the single most important thing for you to bring with you is an open mind. And that sounds canned, but I'm serious. Be willing to expand your thinking, to change your thinking, to broaden your thinking. Come ready to change things. Our hope is that when you leave this conference, you will be so jazzed and so excited about the opportunities before you, either as an individual or as an organization. We want you to leave having practiced, hands-on. This is not going to be that kind of thing where you sit and have somebody talk at you for 3 days. This is hands-on. Bring your favorite pens and pencils. Bring paper to make notes on, although in our session, the second 2 days, you'll have a workbook, a complete workbook.
Well, the workbook covers all 3 days. Both of our presenters on the first day have worksheets. One of our great sponsors, Nevada State Bank, is providing us with journals. So they don't even need to bring a writing paper. Just bring a pen or a pencil or whatever, you know. If necessary, in fact, we might even have pens here for them. But they just need to bring their mind.
That's it. Come ready to learn. Come ready to practice. Come ready to test your assumptions. Come ready to challenge your thinking and come out with some great new ideas.
And plus, yeah, I've been really pushing that organizations should bring teams, or even as entrepreneurs, sometimes you're that solo entrepreneurs, but you very often will turn to someone for advice and things. But having a team is great. But as you were speaking, I was thinking, even if you're coming representing your organization by yourself, just think how great it will be to work in a group where they don't know much about you, but you'll be able to call just fresh and unique ideas from people that are on the outside sort of looking in, that see you, you know, not from what I call a biased or tainted viewpoint or just don't want to hurt your feelings, but might just give you some real open and, you know, frank statements about some of the processes or things that you're thinking about. Or they might give you an idea that will blow your mind, just blow it out the water, and you go back with a phenomenal concept that came from someone way across the country. Oh, wow, I'm getting excited already.
Because we have people registered from all over the country coming
for
this.
Oh, my God,
so
yes.
that,
Florida, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Michigan, and how about Bogota, Colombia?
See there?
Yes.
And so the value in these 3 days is not just the value that you will get from your from the presenters, but the value that you'll get from sitting in a room with like-minded people that will help expand your thinking and challenge your assumptions and to come up with new ideas. I love this. I love it. I can't wait. Tell them more about the specifics, and then I'll be happy to share what they're going to get, what we're going to do in the road trip training.
Okay, sure. Let me just give you a sort of an overview. The first day, day one, Monday, October 26th, right there at Sunset Station. It's in Henderson, which is just a stone throw from the Strip, right? You know, we consider it Las Vegas, but that's Henderson. It is called Impact Learning. And kicking off the conference is Kellen Kaltzman. He's the principal and the operations manager for Advise Media Group. And they're a outside advertising company that specializes in Internet and SEO and building campaigns through the social media platforms and things like that. He became, actually he has a master's degree in education and was a teacher. But what sort of prompted his transition into the Internet world, and he was very talented and creative in it, he created a website called What Every Dog Deserves. You know, and you're like, oh, okay. And within less than a year, he had 1 million views to that blog site. And it exploded, and he was able to transition the strategies that he used to paying advertisers, and so now he makes money that he gives to dog rescue organizations. And so he has totally figured out the strategy of blogging and just studying and doing more things and working with the advertiser. But he's going to help you maximize your Internet presence, especially through blogs and things like that. And then Michael Drew, he wrote the book with Roy Williams, who is infamous in the marketing field, but Michael Drew wrote the book Pendulum, which is all about the we and me cycle. It's all about marketing trends that you must, if you're going to stay up to date, if you're going to stay current, you got to know who are you talking to? What do they want? It's not about you anymore, but he's going to bring his 12 steps of intimacy for the business world, how to build those relationships, and walk you through a process and really just open your eyes to what marketing should be in this day and age. And he'll be there signing his books. We'll have a few copies on hand on site, but I recommend you order them through the website so we know exactly how many to have. And yours will be here already, ready to go. But he'll be here to sign your book right on site. And that's our first total marketing. But it's everything you need to utilize when we go into day 2 and 3, which we'll talk about, and we've been talking all on the show about your assets. What are your assets? But then it's really looking at, so what would be the process of taking and going through this business plan? And that's what Road Trip, and it's your branded name for the training, 2-day training, and it will be from morning to night. No, I shouldn't say that. From 9 to about 4:30 or 5:30 each day. We're still tweaking the schedule, but it is a full day of immersion, of learning, and that's what I like about it. I've gone to tons of conferences. I've been conference managers where we had 100 and some sessions, but this basically is 3 sessions over 3 days. 2 on Monday, different approaches to marketing, and then 2 days of basically 1 session, that road trip, where you can almost guarantee that they're going to walk away with something usable. So let's talk more about what they're actually going to walk away with the road trip.
Well, we love to call this training road trip because it really is a road trip. You can't get in your car and just decide you're going to drive across the country without being prepared. And so the same thing is true. You can't just start a social enterprise or a venture without being prepared. And so these 7 we will walk through, and you will have an opportunity with worksheets and working together to go through the 7 key steps that are required to build and create an enterprise, starting with an internal focus. Remember how I said earlier in the show this morning, close the blinds and look inside and begin to know where you're going and what you want. So the first step is to think internally, to look at your goals. Why would you even want to do anything? What are your mission goals? How much more mission could you do if you had unrestricted revenue? Because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about building revenue streams of unrestricted money, not grant money, not donor money, unrestricted money that is yours for your organization. So you'll do some goal setting. You'll do some looking internally. You'll look at some values that your organization has and what you expect to get out of thinking differently and operating differently in a more entrepreneurial, sustainable manner. And you're going to, so we'll spend the first part of day 2 looking internally and getting really grounded. And you'll get a chance to share this. This is going to be sessions that are highly interactive. You're not just going to be sitting there by yourself. You're going to be sitting there in a room of other creative people, and you're going to share every step of this journey with each other and get feedback and get support for ideas and get challenges for ideas. The second step then is to build that asset inventory, is to really fill those 4 columns in. And again, share those with others who will help you say, you know what else, and you know what else, and you know what else, so that you really broaden your thinking about those things that you now take for granted. The next step in the process then is to begin to brainstorm. And you'll brainstorm, how could we leverage those assets? We've listed these things we do, we have, we know. Now, what could we do with them? And for example, I'll give you 3 or 4 just real simple examples of groups I've worked with. So many nonprofit organizations do training. They do training either internally for their own staff, or they do training as part of the services that they provide for the people they serve. I can give you several examples of organizations that have opened their internal training classes to other nonprofits and other for-profits, just training a whole new market, and instead of giving it away, charging for that because it has value. And then here's a fun one. I was working with a Boys and Girls Club in Texas, as a matter of fact, and this group said when they were listing their assets, they said, well, we have all this stuff we use for our Boys and Girls Club for our parties. We have a popcorn machine and a mirror ball, and we have decorations, and we have theme stuff. Well, they began a business. They had to write a business plan and got a business loan to buy more tables, chairs, tablecloths, that kind of stuff, but began a party rental business because they had been giving all this stuff away to anybody who wanted it, and discovered that in their several county area, there was no party supply business anywhere. And they are now leveraging those assets into a party rental supply. And then here's another great example of an underutilized asset. I had a group one time that said, well, we have a vehicle donation program that's run by a for-profit for us. The for-profit is in another state. And we get $10,000, $11,000 a year from that, which is fine. We don't have to do anything. But there's some negativity about that. People are donating their vehicles to our organization, but all we get is a check. We don't know who the people are. We can't say thank you. And we all know how important it is to thank people. We can't recognize them. We can't build a relationship with them. These people thought enough about us to want to donate their vehicle. And think what these people, we don't know who they are. We can't tell them thank you. What a horrible message that is. Well, this organization leveraged a relationship asset with a tow truck driver who had supported them and who helped them do all of the research and put all the business planning together to bring that vehicle donation program in-house. And within 5 years, they were netting close to $750,000. So look how they leveraged that, take it for granted, something that was being done for them. And then another beautiful example is organizations that have commercial kitchens, Meals on Wheels, all over the United States, are built catering companies. And one of my favorite examples is the Meals on Wheels in Boulder, Colorado, that has a program that people pay for that delivers meals for as long as are needed to a family or a family member who has just come out of the hospital after surgery and who needs to come home nutritious meals, but it can't cook them, or family members can't cook them, or whatever. So here's another program leveraging what they do every single day into an entrepreneurial activity. So leveraging, that's the next part. And then we're going to get really serious about what market research is and what it is not, and how to do feasibility studies. And we'll give you a fictional nonprofit that we've made up. And while you're at this conference, you're going to get a chance to use market research data, learn how they did it, how they found it, but you we'll create a social enterprise. We'll divide you up into small teams, and you'll work together, sharing all of your internal knowledge. You'll work together to build a social enterprise, create a social enterprise, so that you will see firsthand what it feels like, what are the steps involved, what does sales and promotion planning look like, how do you do that, how do you build on that wonderful marketing advice that you're going to learn in day one to market, to sell, to promote, to educate the public about the value of what you have to offer. We'll teach you how to do serious business costing, not the kind of costing that you do for a grant proposal. I'm talking about understanding the difference between direct costs and indirect costs and variable costs and fixed costs and startup costs and all of those kinds of things that you will need to learn that are different from the traditional kinds of costing. And then how to write.
Well, for that particular point, I mean, I think that would be totally a vital, important aspect for just a straight entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, beyond the nonprofit, because that's almost where they should start.
The person who wants to start the egg salad sandwich business is going to have to understand those costs. What does it cost to sell egg salad sandwiches? And just making them in your kitchen doesn't mean, for example, that you don't have direct costs, indirect costs, fixed costs, variable costs that go with every single sandwich that is made and wrapped. And so all of this applies throughout, and you're going to have fun because you're going to get to practice it all the way along. And I certainly have learned in my advanced years that the more I do something, the better I understand it. So you'll get the chance to do it. This is, as Victoria calls this is impact learning. This isn't just sit there and absorb it.
Right.
So I hope that's the most. I hope that's the most fun you've ever had.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the value of all of the, not even looking at the big picture of what they'll walk away with, but if they just looked at one portion of the 3 days and say that, I learned how to do X, Y, and Z, and I can go back and implement it almost immediately. To me, that's the value of just coming and dedicating what I call investing in yourself, investing in your organization to make it better, to make it more effective, to make it more efficient. And that's sort of why we adopted the word impact learning. Our core, our mission is to build capacity through education and professional services so that you can have a greater impact. And I believe our impact is providing opportunities to learning. And so impact learning has been adopted and branded as our signature name. Almost everything we do will have the term impact interwoven into it because that's one of our core values, to have impact not only in different sectors but in the community at large. I mean, just being able to present this conference, I'm honored and really excited. I'm totally honored that you agreed to, come here to Las Vegas to be one of our key presenters and bring all of your expertise and knowledge and share it with this region of the country. I think, this is the first time it's really been presented here in the Southwest region, even though you're right sort of next door in New Mexico. But you sort of go east to Texas that way. But yes, but I'm excited to be associated and affiliated with Social Enterprise Ventures, and for just all of the support of the other presenters agreeing to come in and give up their time, because it shows that they also see some of the value in what we're trying to do. So let me give a recap of the whole how to register, and I'm also going to offer a brief bonus right now. Impact Learning is October 26th through 28th. That's a Monday through Wednesday. Did that on purpose because I want you to feel as if it's a part of your organizational strategies, that it is a part of your work day, that it is something that you should be doing. So often workshops or training, when they're on in the evenings or on the weekend, it almost feels as if it's pulling you away from your life and it becomes a burden. But I want you to create what I call a culture of learning, that this is something you put on your schedule to do. And so Impact Learning 2015, October 26th through 28th, you can find all the information about the presenters, housing. Unfortunately, you might be able to get our discount rate on the rooms at Sunset Station, but technically that was supposed to be reserved by September 25th. But if you call in, if they still have some left in the block, you might be able to get the discount rate. But still, it's for Las Vegas, their prices are very reasonable, especially for this October 26th through 28th. Find everything you need at http:// you know how to do that, PF, that's for Philantrepreneur Foundation, but PF, impactlearning.info. That's real easy. PF, impactlearning.info. That will be the domain or website that for all future Impact Learning conferences, you'll be able to find the most updated information for 2015, 2016. That will be our signature site for our conference. What I'm offering today for all of our listeners, because you're on and you're listening to this, if you just go and do what I call just a full conference registration, it's up to you to order the books. I do encourage you to order the books because you can have them signed by the authors. But do a full registration and you can bring another team member free. So that means you now have the capacity to bring your team to this conference for the price of one. To do it, there's going to be a comment box as you do checkout. Just put the code 241, that's all letters, 241, and then just add your guest name because your name is already there in the registration. And it's simple as that. And so I'm encouraging everyone reach out there to register for this conference. And just another tip, there's going to be some great opportunities to look at some crowdfunding opportunities. You're going to hear all about the Philantrepreneur Campus Center. It's a multi-tenant facility that we're looking at launching a campaign and putting up a state-of-the-art office facility for our nonprofit sector. We'll have training rooms, a library, coffee shop, a bank, all of that within one facility for us. So you'll hear more about that, and I'll be talking about that a whole lot more. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me, Dr. Victoria Boyd. You can find me either at admin@thephilantrepreneur.com. But before we go, do you have any last words, Jean? Tell us how they can contact you if they have more questions.
Sure. Thanks again, Victoria, for letting me come and play today. I appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for listening. Don't just listen now. Do this. Be there. We look forward to working with you and have a great time in a few weeks. So if you have questions for me, the easiest way to get me is email Jean, Jean, @jblockinc.com. Jean Block Incorporated, jblockinc.com. I'd say call me, but we're having construction being done here outside the office, and the contractor cut the phone lines yesterday, so don't try to call me because I don't know how long it will be before we have telephones again.
Good thing for cell phones, though.
For cell phones, yes, indeedy. So I look forward to seeing all of you in 3 weeks in Las Vegas. I promise you it will be the greatest 3 days you will have spent this year. So thanks, Victoria. I'll see you very soon.
I totally agree. Okay, we're going to wrap up, and I hope to see everyone at Impact Learning 2015, October 26th. Everyone, have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Philantrepreneur Radio Show, hosted by Dr. Victoria Boyd. Get involved. Follow us on Facebook and other social media outlets. If you wish to share comments or suggestions or appear as a guest on our show, visit www.thephilantrepreneur.com. Contact Victoria Boyd. Email her at theboyd@thephilantrepreneur.com. The Philantrepreneur Radio Show is a production of and sponsored by the Philantrepreneur Foundation, a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.